Okay, welcome. This is lesson 3-9. We are modeling with decimals and base 10 blocks. So that's what we are using today. For our math message, it says the following. Okay, so you are going to write those amounts using dollar signs and decimal points. Please pause this video and work that out on a piece of paper that you have at home. Okay, our first one here, our first one, it said $3 bills, 5 dimes, and 1 penny. So our first, I'll just $3 bills. So we need the dollar sign, 5 dimes, and 1 penny. $3.51. I will go over here with you place value in just 1 minute because we're going to learn about how to say this a different way when we're not using money. Number two, it said 3 dimes and 6 pennies. So we would go $0, 3 dimes, 6 pennies, because dimes are worth 10 cents. 6 pennies are worth hundredths. So you need 100 pennies in order to get $1, and you need 10 dimes to get $1. Number three, $2 bills and 7 dimes. So $2.70. 7 dimes. And number four, it said 9 pennies. So that means $0, 0 dimes, and 9 cents. Okay, so let's talk about this decimal places. This place is called the ones place. Okay, we always say decimal as the word and. We've been stressing that this year. This spot here, just like it makes the sound 10, like 10 dimes, we instead say tenths with a THS when it's after the decimal point. And the last one, because we need 10 of those to get $1 to finally come over to this ones area. This last one here that we're learning about is called hundredths. Again with the TH because that's after the decimal point. So we have ones and tenths, hundredths. So just like here, we have 7 tenths is 70 cents, or 3 tenths is 30, and then you have 6 hundredths, or you could say it as 36 hundredths, like 36 cents. And the top one, 5 would be in our tenths, and 1 would be in our hundredths spot, or you could say 51 hundredths. So we're going to continue to learn about that today and tomorrow. Right now, please pause. We're going to pause here for a second. Okay, so now we're going to think to ourselves these questions. We're going to ask ourselves these things. So, how many dimes are there in $1? There are 10 dimes, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And then from 90 cents, we move on to $1. So what fraction of $1 is 1 dime? There's 1/10. Because if you have 10 dimes, that would make 10 tenths, which is a whole one. So we've got 1/10. Okay, how many pennies are in $1 now? Well, we have 100 pennies in $1. So what is a fraction of $1 as a penny? It would be 1/100th. You could even say for dimes, you could say 10 hundredths if you wanted to as well. 10 over 100. That also works. Okay, So again, 10 100ths can be a dime. And how we would do that in decimal form would be 0.1 because that's our tenths. You could even add a zero behind and that would be fine. That means the same thing. Okay. Or like we said, a penny would be 1/100th. You go 0 and 0 or 0 and 1/100th. So this place here where the pennies are, that is our hundredths spot. And this place up here, right behind our decimal, is our tenths spot, emphasizing the THS, tenth. That means after decimal. Okay, so the page that I sent home with some of you at TA27, it looks like this. It has a 100 grid for us. And so it's asking our first question, how many longs would you need to cover this whole grid? So when it's saying longs, it's just referring to 10 of our 100. So they're considering this a long. So how many would we need of these to get to 100? Well, just like in talking about dimes, we'd have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So how many would we need to cover the whole thing? We would need 10. Whoops. Just gonna throw that aside. We would need 10. We would need 10. Okay, so our next question, what fraction is of the grid is one long, is one whole row? Well, if there's 10 total and we used one whole one, that would bring us to 1/10. So the next question it's going to ask us is it's going to take us a step further. These are the different ways we can say 1/10. So we put the 1 in the tenths place. So we have 0 and 1/10, or we have spell it out 1-10th. You could even use the number 1 and then the word tenth, or 1/10 like this. That's how we do that. So lots of different ways to represent the same thing. Okay, so now we're going to try how many longs would we need to in order to cover this time, let's say 2/10 of the grid. So 0 and 2/10. So how many longs would we need to cover that much? We would cover this whole section here, 1, 2. How would we write that as a fraction? We would go 2 in the numerator over 10. Okay. So then you could continue, you could say how many would be 3/10? Well, we would cover a full 3 and then we'd say 0 and change this 2 to a 3/10. And then we go 3/10 as a fraction. You could keep going on and on and on. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to open in our math journals to page 91. Please join me on page 91. Okay, so this is what your page 91 should look like. So we've done tenths already, but this one doesn't use a whole tenth. So we're going to look at that together here. On page 91 is the page you should still be on. Okay, so our first one, let's count because each of these individual boxes are considered 1/100th. So we'd count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this as a fraction would look like 8 over 100. And I apologize already for my attempt to write using my keypad. Okay, how we do this as a decimal, we would go whole number 0, and there's no tenths filled in. There's only 8 hundredths, so we would go 0 in our tenths and 8 in our hundredths. So 0.08. Okay, our next one, number 2, we would count these. So let's count by tens and then add 2 as our hundredths. So we go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So our fraction would say 70. Then we have 272 over 100. Okay, and how we do this as a decimal, 0.72 hundredths, or 7 tenths and 2 hundredths. 72 is just easier. That's kind of how we say when we're talking about money. Okay, so now your turn. I would like you to pause the screen, count this out, write the fraction and decimal, then unpause to check your answer at the end. Okay, welcome back. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the tenths. So our fraction could be 5 tenths. But wait a second, 5 is half of 10. And you are right. So another equation you could have done, I'm going to do a comma there, is 1/2. Or you could have even written 50 100ths. No matter what fraction you ended up choosing, though, our decimal will always be, and I'll write it below to give us a little more room, 0.0 and 5 tenths. So you could say like that, or with a 50. That would be fine as well. Both ways work. 0.5 or 0.50. That works. Okay, so next it says color each part of your grid to show the decimal given. I'll have you pause the video, do this, then unpause to check numbers 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so 9 tenths. So we go fill in all but the last row. The next one, we only do 9 of our 100 because there's 0 tenths, so we don't even have a full one, and then 9 hundredths. 4 tenths, so 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down, and 6 hundredths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now this next part is a your choice, number 7, 8, 9. So you color it in and then you show me and write the decimal. If you can, please take a photo of this page, page 91, and email it to me using Schoology or your parents' email. Okay, and if not, we can just look at your books when you get back as well. So good luck and thank you for joining in on today's lesson. Bye.